How to get better at Call of Duty Mobile. This is the series where I give tips and tricks on how to get better at the game. And so in this video, we're going to talk about team roles, man. There are about 4 key roles to any strong team. So I want you to identify which one best suits your playstyle and apply it, And so let's jump into these roles, starting out with the Slayer / Rusher role. And so a lot of people think that this role is simply about getting kills, but in reality, the job of the Slayer is to apply pressure to the other team. This person is the most aggressive player on the team. They push the team back into their spawn, making it easier for their teammates to capture objectives. And if you want to be a Slayer, then you absolutely have to have good gun skill, good reaction time, and good map awareness, man. And so, with this role, the other thing you got to consider is the gun choice. If you're going to be a Slayer, then you're going to use SMGs or aggressive assault rifles, guns that you can push the spawn with, be super aggressive with, that have good ADS speeds because, like I said, you're playing super aggressive. And so if this is a role that you want to be, then like I said, you need to consider everything that I mentioned above, bro. You got to have that good gun skill. You got to have good reaction time, and you got to know the map. And so that's role number 1. Moving on to my second role, it's going to be the objective player. And so technically, it's everybody's job on the team to play the objective. But what makes the objective role, specialized is the specific equipment, perks, and kill streaks that they use that helps to capture the objectives a lot easier. So, for example, if you're playing hardpoint, the objective player is probably always going to be running something like a trophy system, to make sure that the other team can't throw stuff into the hardpoint and things of that nature, or even on like domination. They're trying to make sure, like I said, that the kill streaks, the equipment, the things that they're using, it makes it harder for the other team to do anything, so they're running very specific stuff. I think that's really what separates each class, is really what equipment you're using. So I'll touch on this really quick. For when it comes to the Slayer role, they're going to be using stuff that makes getting kills a little bit more easier. They may use like a flashbang or a concussion grenade, to slow down the enemy, to kind of throw them off as they're pushing the objectives, super hard. And so back to the role that we're on, the objective role, they're going to use things that helps the team capture objectives. They may use like a cryo freeze grenade to make sure that the enemy can't even get to the objectives quick enough, so that's something that's super important. If you know that you're not the best at getting kills, this is a role that I feel like anybody can play because it helps the team like secure the wins. And so if like I said, you're out there, you tried the Slayer role, but you're getting slayed, you're getting killed a lot. Sometimes you might have to switch to like a more objective role. Maybe somebody on your team is better at playing aggressive. So the objective role allows you to, secure the win, because at the end of the day, we're all here to win. I know there's people that like to get a lot of kills, myself included. I do like slaying out, but I also like to win. I love to win, actually. I hate losing. And so if I got to go negative, if I go 15 and 20, but we get the win, I'm satisfied, because to me, getting wins is a lot more important than getting kills. And so, like I said, with this objective role, your job is to help the team capture those objectives. And one of the cool parts about being the objective player is that you gain the most XP because you're doing a lot of little things. You're calling in smaller streaks. You got the UAVs and the counter UAVs, all of that stuff. This role is super important because if no one is playing the objective, the team will lose, And so this is one of the most important roles. And technically, everybody should be playing this role to a certain extent. But we do need those people on the team that specialize in this area. And so if you want to be a objective player, then you really have to care about winning more than your personal kills and stats. So this is one of those roles that's super important, super duper important. And when it comes down to the weapon choice, you need to be sticking to SMGs and assault rifles for the most part, because you need to be mobile, but once you get in there, you need to be able to hold down the objective. And so that's role number 2, that OBJ objective role. Let's move on to number 3, one of the most hated roles, which is the camper, which I'm also call the anchor of the team. And so, like I said, this role is often hated on, but when it's done right, it is one of the most essential roles to a good team, simply because the camper or anchor, however you want to say it, they sit and hold power positions. And so I need you to understand, I'm not talking about the person that's sitting in the way back of the map, not looking at nothing. They not looking at the A flag, the C flag. They ain't looking at nothing. They just sitting in some random corner. I'm not talking about that. That's a whole different role that we don't even need to explore. Because some people, I get it. They're still a camper, technically. But the camper or anchor role that I'm talking about is that they sit in the power positions. You know, when you get that right camper and he playing his role right, the enemy team can't even get across the map because they're sitting at the B flag or something like that. They're sitting somewhere in the middle of the map, but they're playing a little bit more slow. They're a little bit more patient, you know, while the aggressive player is like pushing and slaying out and the objective player is like, you know, trying to cap that flag. This person right here anchors the team because they're in a good position. They're using a really good gun that's like perfectly accurate. And they're just like literally they're anchoring the team, you know. And so while everybody might be dying a little bit, this person is playing a role where they're able to kill the other team generally at a higher rate than they're dying. So they're in good positions on the map. And like I said, they're anchoring the team a lot of times. And so, like I said, I know this position gets hated on because people just want you to run around with, you know, like a chicken with your head cut off all the time. But every good team needs a nice camper, anchor, however you want to phrase it, because, you know, they really balance the team out, you know. And so if you're going to choose this role, just know that you will be hated a lot of times. The enemy team will hate your guts. And also, this playstyle gets a bit boring, you know, depending on, I guess, your attention level, whatever the case may be. Like some people, they need to get in constant action the whole game. That's kind of me sometimes. That's why I slay out, I rush out. It's not just for the kills, but, you know, I need that extra just, I need that high action. That's literally why most people play Call of Duty. It's fast paced, you know, at the end of the day. But for this role, like I said, it does get a little bit boring because you're not moving around as much. But every move you make is super intentional. So this is a super important role on the team. And when it comes to the weapons, you need to be using ARs, LMGs, or marksman rifles. Anything that's going to allow you to hit your shots. So it needs to be the accurate assault rifles, the accurate LMGs, the accurate, well, all the marksman rifles are pretty accurate, but this role right here, you got to be able to hold it down. You sitting on head glitches and stuff like that, so you need to be able to hold it down. And so let's keep it pushing to my last role for this video, which is the sniper. This is one of the hardest roles to master. Sniping takes a high level of skill in order to perform well. And so some of the other roles, you know, because you're using SMGs, LMGs, all kinds of stuff, assault rifles, you know, you can still perform well and not be that good. But if you're not good with a sniper, you're not doing good at all. Like this role right here requires the most amount of skill to perform well, especially if you're going to be a somewhat aggressive sniper where you're not just sitting in the back of the map, you know, sniping the one guy on the other team that ain't doing nothing either. So I'm like, you know, it gets a little bit nuanced, but the sniper's main role on the team is actually to kill the other, you know, the enemy's team camper. And so let's say, you know, both team has each of these roles. You know, the sniper needs to be trying to make sure that they're able to take out the camper because they're going to be in those high traffic areas, but they're holding down like very specific parts of the map and they're on head glitches. And so you can't just hit that corner with an assault rifle trying to spray them off the head glitch because they're already set up. They're posted up. But the sniper, on the other hand, they're able to snipe them. You know, they're able to like hurry up, peek, or if they know exactly where they're at, they can use angles to snipe them off of a head glitch. Like the sniper role is very, very important because they are able to kill the people that are in these weird positions on the map. Or not even weird. It's the power positions. So you need to be able to kill these people. Now, the Slayer can do it as well by using tacticals, throwing stuns, throwing flashes to kind of like, you know, get them off their edge or whatever the case may be. But the sniper also is very important because they're able to just snipe this person. One bullet, boom, headshot, they're dead. And so the other thing when it comes to the sniper is when the sniper is playing their role right, the enemy team has to second guess every move that they're making. Like, they know they can't just run out and just be all running through the field, running through the, the map, just all willy nilly, because a good sniper is going to make sure certain positions of the map just isn't open and just free and safe, and so a sniper, super important to the team. This is one of my favorite roles to play as well, because I feel like, it's also very rewarding to hit your snipe. So if you're accurate with a sniper and you know how to use it, you got a good secondary on your back, or you're using overkill, however you're using it, this role right here is super duper important, man. And so that's all of the roles, Of course, there's other like roles within the team, other sub roles, but I feel like these are the 4 essential roles to any good team on Call of Duty Mobile. And so my advice is for you to go out and try different roles in your matches, see which ones, gives you some success. And even when I say success, I don't mean like which one gives you the most kills, but which one is also causing you to consistently win, So this is one of those things where you get to experiment. Go and try out a sniper. If you suck with the sniper, it might not be for you. Try the anchor role where you're like, around the B flag and you're holding down that B flag. You're in good positions to where the enemy can't, get across the map. Try out the objective role. Just go ham on the objective. Run flak jacket and just go and capture the objectives and sit on them, Use the trophy system. Use the lower kill streaks and stuff like that to where like you're able to really help your team win. Or go try out the rusher role. This one is not super easy because you're going to run into campers. You're going to run into all kinds of stuff. And if you don't have good gun skill or good reaction time, you're probably going to get stomped out, man. And so, yeah, if you're already somebody that knows your role, what's your role? Let me know down in the comment section. What is the role you gravitate to when you're playing regular multiplayer or you're playing ranked? Whatever the case may be, I want to know your role. So be sure to drop it down in the comment section below. Hopefully this video was able to help somebody. I have members in my Discord that's always asking for certain stuff. Subscribers on the channel that's always asking certain questions and things of that nature. And so, this is the series for that. I'm going to be dropping videos on simply how to get better at the game. And this is one of them. So know your role, do it well, and you'll succeed in the game, man. And so that's all I got for you. I'll catch you on the next one. You're Jersey.